Alright. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Alhamdulillah.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin. Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi rasulillah ajma'in. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah, mab'utsur rahmatal alamin allazi la nabiyya ba'dah. Welcome to the IFPA International Webinar. I am Muhammad Rafif Diva, your host for today. And I also would like to greet our chairwoman of IFPA, Professor Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, and of course our distinguished speakers. There are Dr. Lutfia Safriana and Dr. Shahizan bin Muhammad Noh and Mrs. Alvina Rahmatia, and also our moderator, Mrs. Maisha Bani. And the main topic of today's webinar is building trust as financial planners in social media. The session today will be delivered by three speakers from Indonesia, Malaysia, and Turkey, and our moderator to elaborate the topic. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the opening session, and let us reciting Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Without any further ado, I would like to invite our chairwoman of IFPA, Professor Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, MACC CFP IFP AEPP QFC to deliver welcoming speech. So, Madam Ani, the time is yours.
Ya, thank you, Diva. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salatu wassalamu ala asfiril anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Rabbi syrli sadri wa yassirli amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Shadaqallahul azim. A very good evening to everyone from Jakarta. And I think this is quite late as well in Malaysia. But in Turkey, is somehow around 3 p.m., I guess. In Bursa. Are you in Bursa, Alvina? So, and this one is actually also will be attended by some other friends, our brothers and sisters from other countries as well. Hopefully, they are coming on time. Without taking so much time, I would like to also say hello to Dr. Shahizan, who has been actually very loyal to IFPA since the very beginning. And mashallah, he initiated a lot of contribution as well to the betterment of IFPA. Of course, there are many outstanding that we have not settled, and inshallah, with more collaboration and then also seeking advice from him, we will get more insight and also we get more um, in new initiative. So Sister Maisha is our new admin. Uh, the sister is actually a lecturer in one university in Indonesia, in Tangerang or Depok, yeah. Depok, is it? Is located your university?
Cikarang, Madam.
Cikarang mean
Yes,
Bekasi.
and
So Dr. Shah usually whenever he visits Indonesia, he usually only walk around Jakarta. So next time he has to visit Bekasi. So Bekasi is in situated in another planet, Dr. Shah. We call it Bekasi is situated in another planet because it's a distinguished location with full of also um, I don't know what you call it those who movers from Bekasi to Jakarta whenever during working hours, but they choose to live in Bekasi. It's the same like Bogor, but Bekasi they don't have mountain and hills. That's why it's a bit kind of a bit tropical and then a bit hot as well, you know. So unlike Dr. Dr. Lutfia Sepriana is also mover. Is she lives in Bogor, but then her university where she works in Jakarta
Blok M, near Blok M.
near Block M. So in Jakarta during the day, the occupants can reach up to 12 million. But during the evening, night like this time, what more nor this is a sun weekend, so it will decrease to 10 million. So the 2 million, one of them is actually Dr. Lutfia. But Dr. Shah, you live in Shah Alam, Dr. Shah? Where do you live now?
In Kajang,
Kajang is a Selangor.
Selangor, yeah.
Yeah, he's also like that. He's quite mobile between Selangor and Kuala Lumpur. So Kuala Lumpur during the day, how many occupants?
Oh, I don't have the data with me, madam, but it's very congested during the working period lah.
Yeah. The same like Istanbul, etc. So I think this is just a very typical capital city. So today we hope this one going to be a bit different because we talk about something informal. Yeah, it's about how we actually would like to see social media and as an influencer. Recently, Financial Services Authority of Indonesia has released a new regulations on financial influencer. Why? Because many influencers did not have sufficient knowledge on financial issues, affairs, and also products and services, but they speak to the public and influence the public to follow what he says. So this is something that also OJK is very concerned. And in fact, OJK reminds everyone to actually possess certain competency whenever they would like to provide financial literacy or Islamic financial literacy to the public. Otherwise, there is a certain amount of sanctions. Yeah. So, of course, we would like to discover today practical strategies to build credibility, strengthen the personal brand of the financial planners or financial planners to be. And of course, we would like to create meaningful impact as a financial planner. And I would like to also pose triggering questions. For instance, to Dr. Shah, who has been actually in the Islamic financial planners. He has been training, teaching the financial planners on Islamic competency. So sometimes they, without sufficient knowledge to talk about Islamic financial planning, can also create problems, although they are already called, or they also refer to Islamic financial planners. So financial planners and Islamic financial planners are two different competencies, have different competencies. Of course, once we would like to become Islamic financial planners, we have to possess certain amount of skills and knowledge. And that is why when we launched Islamic financial planning program in Indonesia, there were a lot of certified financial planners came and then set for that certification. It means what they possessed before only on the conventional side, that is not sufficient when they would like to talk about Islamic side of financial planning. So the three speakers, Dr. Shah, Dr. Lutfia, and inshallah Dr. Alfina Tubi will highlight several points, on how the practical strategies on to build credibility, through social media. We would like to be. I mean, having a lot of followers is not something difficult. Sometimes people buy followers, but how can you genuinely be recognized as a credible financial planners, Islamic financial planners? So without further ado, I would like to invite our moderator, Sister Maisha Bani, today, and also the rest of the participants. We have Ustazah Siti Nurjana, Ramadhani, Sheila Dita, and Imas Ghazali Muqtadin. We have also Dr. Dina Diana, and we also have inshallah Ustadz Arafat Garuda, Dr. Arafat Garuda, inshallah. So thank you for your participation, and please invite all your friends to join us today. And I'll be around listening to the speakers, inshallah, and learn from their expertise. And inshallah, there will be also a discussion at the end, and I hope you all can join it. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah wa alfu minkum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, thank you, Madam, for the welcoming speech. And now I would like to turn to the moderator to lead the session. Her name is Miss Maisha Bani S. Akun, MEIWPS. And we absolutely cannot wait to dive deeper and explore this topic together. To Miss Maisha Bani, the time is yours.
Thank you, Diva. Is my audio clear?
Yes.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahman. Amin Allahumma amin. First of all, I'd like to extend my warmest greeting to our respected and beloved chairwoman, Madam Ani, Professor Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin, and all the certification degree, Madam. It's always a privilege to have you with us, Madam. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Also today with us, my warmest welcome also goes to three distinguished speakers, Dr. Shah from Malaysia, Dr. Tia from Indonesia, and Sister Alvin from Turkey, Masya Allah. And also our MC, Brother Diva from Bogor, okay, from Bogor, Indonesia. And of course, a very warm welcome to everyone, wherever you're joining us from all around the world today. It's wonderful to have you all with us. My name is Maisha Bani. You can call me Maisha. And it's my pleasure to moderate today's session hosted by Islamic Financial Planners Association, or IFPA. Because as we know that time is perhaps our most valuable currency. And we're grateful you've decided to invest your time here Once again, thank you for choosing to spend your time with us today. So allow me to begin with a simple task. Imagine that you were asked to educate 1,000 people about financial planning. For madam, it might be easier, madam. But for us, maybe we have to inviting 1,000 participants, or we have to finding a venue or coordinating the schedule and hoping that all participants would like to show up and etc. But today, with just one thoughtful video or just one meaningful post or just one carousel or maybe just one conversation in front of the camera, we can reach those same 1,000 people and sometimes 100,000 or more. That's so extraordinary power of social media. The power of social media, maybe like that. But also here's came with the challenge. People become increasingly selective who are they choose to believe. And also for the financial planners, for us, this has changed everything. People may trust us because they believe in our integrity, of course, our consistency also, and our genuine desire to serve. So, inshallah, we're not here to learn how to go viral, not just a viral, but we are here to explore how we can educate responsibility and build lasting trust in this digital world. So before we begin, I would like to invite everyone to make this session as interactive as possible. So please tell us when you are joining from in the chat box. Might you from Nigeria or from Turkey with Sister Alfie, from Indonesia, Malaysia, and other country. So please chat in the chat box, and we'd love to see you by turning on your camera if possible. Okay, now without further ado, let's begin our first session. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So our first speaker is Dr. Sahizan Haj Muhammad Nur from Malaysia. He is our BOD, also BOD of IFA. He has spent decades shaping the development of Islamic wealth management, not only through advisory practice, but also through education, policy discussion, and professional development across the region. As head of international development at IFA and associate director at IPFIM Malaysia, Dr. Shah has helped thousands of financial professionals understand that Islamic wealth management is not merely about accumulating wealth, but about preserving dignity and creating lasting impact. For 20 minutes, we will learn about content that educates, not just sells, ethical finance content in social media. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcoming Dr. Shah. Dr. Shah, the virtual stage is yours.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good evening to everyone. So I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Our chairwoman, Ibu Madam Prof. Dr. Muniati Mukhlisin. Okay, our MC today, Brother Muhammad Rafif Difa. Such a nice name, right? So not to forget our moderator, Ibu Masya Bani. Thank you so very much for inviting me as part of the speakers for today's session. All right. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So let's start our first session today with the topic of content that educates, not sells, ethical financial content in social media. But before I start further with my presentation, my sharing today, let me ask every one of you. Perhaps we have some experience. How many of you in last week perhaps watch a video from the financial influencer, from the celebrity, talking about investment, talking about how to make more money, okay? And at the same time, we don't check their background, okay? As mentioned by our woman just now, a lot of financial influencers don't have credentials in relation to financial planning or wealth management. But why there are so many followers following their posting? Does it because they are popular? Does it because they are charming compared to your speaker currently talking to now? Okay, so that's definitely we're creating more concerns on whether we check we check the person telling in the social media really the one that we should follow or otherwise. Okay, are they promoting something or they are advising something? So today's topics are very applicable. Nowadays we have a lot of social media accounts, right? Not only Facebook, not only TikTok or X. We may also have Instagram. I normally focusing one or two social media only, right? And I can say that I'm not a good influencer because my followers also not as much as what Madam Muniati have currently. Okay, but okay. So I have a role to share today. The maximum would be 20 minutes, perhaps. Okay. I hope I can stay until the end of the session. For benefits to all participants, which I do believe most of the participants are from Indonesia. Okay. We have a small election today in Malaysia. All right. So we just completed the session of election this evening. So now time to counting the votes. Okay, guys, let me start with our presentation. So I have lined up a few objectives from my presentations. So number one, let us try to unpack why educational content can build trust better, okay, compared to the promotional content. We are talking about advisory here and why we need to listen to those who are not competent in terms of financial planning and wealth management. Okay, that's number one. So what about the objective number two? We want to identify what are the ethical boundaries in financial social media contents. Does it too much on pushing certain products? Is there any I would say that more towards pulling the crowd rather than sharing good things to the audience? The next one, I would like to propose simple framework for those who are influencers out there, want to create something valuable in terms of financial or wealth management content. So we should have some framework. It could be very easy to follow, but at the same time, whatever that we want to share in the social media must be impactful, right? Impactful for our audience. And the last one could be how to produce a good content ideas that are compliant, credible, with citation, with reference, and also engaging at the same time. So these are the objectives that I would like to share with all of you tonight. and hopefully we can meet this objective. And I do believe that other two speakers from the Turkey and also Indonesia will add on more to my presentation. The emergence of this trend. So from here, we can see that the social media history timeline emerged for the past 30 years. I would say more than 30 years, right? So perhaps some of us have multiple social media accounts, but before the rise of social media, right? So let us rewind back 20 or 30 years back, whereby we can only get investment advice through industry outlook session, to invitation by the banks perhaps. But nowadays, we can get everything easily through social media, right? So in terms of finding which stocks or shares that we may have interest to buy, to invest, right? So no need for us to wait until end of the month for the market outlook session. No need for us to wait until end of the week for the inclusion of the newspaper reports in newspaper, because everything can be obtained, can be watched through social media, right? So those who like stories, that article, you can choose Facebook perhaps, right? Those who likes video, you can watch lots of videos, not only in Instagram. Perhaps you can go to the TikTok. All right. So a lot of social medias nowadays can provide a lot of information. But the thing is now, whether the information that we watch, that we read in the social media, credible enough, okay, credible enough to influence us to do our financial decisions. Okay. So when we talk about social media, who are the major subscribers? So I would say that it's not from the community of baby boomers, right? We the most subscribers to the social media, perhaps the Gen X and above, all right? Gen Y, Gen Z. So this community wants something fast, short, and quick. Okay, so that is why we afraid that some of the information that they can get from the social media and not really credible, but at the same time they cannot differentiate between whether the content is more on the promotional items, or rather than giving an advice. So we talking about social media, talking about influencers who are sharing about financial activities, financial advice. So we call them as a financial influencers. In short, finfluencers. Who are they? They are the individuals leverage social media accounts or platform to share whatever contents related to financial, not only investment related. They're also sharing about new products. They're also sharing about the investment platforms, right? Ranging from the general financial education to specific shares or stock recommendations. So the numbers of financial influencers, or these finfluencers here, are getting bigger and bigger, and that has brought us financial conversations to millions of people, millions of subscribers. And some of the contents are wonderful, very engaging, right? So they won't listen to what we are currently do, right? A specific session, webinar, talking about certain topics seriously, exchange idea. They don't, right? They perhaps they get some of the information, right? So they come up with a good script, and at the same time, they have many followers. From there, they make it the content lively. Okay, some of them can come out with the live session in the social media, talking a lot of things related to finance. However, many content creators are not taking serious enough about the validity of the content, right? So some of the contents from the hearsay, right? Some of the content derived from the posting from other people's. They just citing it, right? Make it more entertaining just for the uh, subscribers or the followers to read. So, so with that, we do think that some content need to be more ethical, right? So the concern raised on whether we can have something framework, we can call framework, or something that we can call regulations to make sure that all the financial content on the social media should prioritize the transparency, right? Whatever that single words or single sentence that you share to your followers, okay, must be also referred from the any of the regulators uh, uh, blueprint, something like that. The expectation have to be realistic, and proper credentials or reference have to be together with the social media content, right? But I would say that the transparency, the realistic expectation, and the proper credential will not happen if any of the contents related to financial have also commercial promotion elements, right? Some of the contents been sponsored by any platforms or products belongs to the certain company. So from there, some of the content pushing the certain products too much rather than advising, rather than sharing good things about financial planning or wealth management, for instance, right? So other than that, the followers may have some problems or issues to determine or to differentiate whether the contents is on approved schemes by the regulator, or just a scam, uh, like get rich quick schemes, as we can see a lot of situation, a lot of promotion on the get rich quick campaigns in the social media. If we can go further, the finfluencers appeal here, all right? I would like to cite one of the survey conducted by the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission last few years in relation to these social media, right? From the respondents, almost 22% of the investors make investment decision based on digital promotions or any endorsement or promotion did by the celebrity on the social media. So it shows some of the decision been made by the public, by the investor, without a proper channel, right? They do decision in terms of buying new products, all right, invest into new stock or shares or investment scheme, just listening to the social media content, not from the authority, not from the licensed financial planner, not from the approved financial advisors. Just listen to the short social media posting, and after that they do their decision. Okay, that's the appeal. So but at the same time, we have some issues, perhaps some concerns on why not many of the licensed practitioners in financial planning, in wealth management, as being a success financial influencer, right? I think one of the reason because we have a lot of commitment at the same time, the client that we need to take care. Okay, some and unlike the financial influencers, right? For some of them who are not licensed practitioner, they are focusing on the contents alone. So that's why they can consistently sharing ideas, sharing the contents on daily basis, right? Some of them on they can provide contents, more than one content in one day. We move further to the context, social media content crisis. So if there is no regulation, there is no framework, so the problem will be exploded. Some the algorithms favor high emotion content, so that's why if you, some of them take the opportunity to pull as many as they can in terms of the followers to join their schemes, although the scheme is not approved by the regulator, right? Although the scheme is not is not within the financial industry, as long as they have followers, the followers will listen to whatever that they want to share, so they take the opportunity. That's one of the loophole perhaps we can see from the non-licensed or non-qualified financial influencers. Number two is the human toll. Again, I did mention earlier that Gen Z and above are the main subscribers to the to the social media. So the primary consumers are among these communities. So they are looking at information, not only something that we can say uh, uh, some related to the movie, related to the artist or the celebrity, but whatever that they influencers say, they will take into consideration for their decision. So when a predatory affiliated with certain companies, all right, they can pull a lot of the followers to subscribe to their platforms, to buy or to take the any of the new products launch. All right, so some companies do take this approach, right? They look into the number of the followers, so from there they promote certain products, and they can get many good results in terms of the number, in terms of the toll, because they know in from the 20 hours 24 hours in a day, which which time, specific time, that many of these subscribers will go through, will look at the posting in a social media, and this will be the opportunity, right? The massive unfilled vacuum for boring financial literacy, like what perhaps at some of us currently doing, right? The webinar, okay, the forum talking about financial planning awareness. They don't want to listen to what currently the industry do. Okay, so so this is the opportunity for some of the influencers, perhaps, and the loophole here will create more chaos from time to time. Okay, so what are the pillars of ethical content? We have to create more value content, right? And talking about financial planning, all right, the content must not more than 5 minutes perhaps, all right, because we don't We don't focus on certain posting more than 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so we have create a value for every contents that they want to, right? So for the financial planners, for the practitioners, so perhaps we can learn something from those influencers that not qualified in financial planning or wealth management, how they can pull the audience. Zero tie-in. All right. So whatever that content we do, we propose or we showcase to the audience must not attach to any products. So from there, we are independent, freedom to provide our advice in relation to financial planning or wealth management, and also must be realistic. If we have something that we want to our audience to follow, it has to be realistic. For example, if you want to share about the cash flow rule 70/30, 60/40, so it must be able to be followed by our followers. Alright. So that's the areas that we can think of when we want to create a content that more ethical in relation to financial planning and wealth management. So to navigate the issues of non-compliant, all right. So we can see that a lot of country also came up with the regulations. We can see, as mentioned by Madam Ibu Dr. Munianti just now, Indonesia also already come up with their own regulation pertaining to the financial influencers. We at Malaysia also have come up with our own regulations. All right, so we want the financial influencers to be certified, all right, by FACE, okay, in order to make sure that whatever that they want to promote, whatever that they want to share in the social media, within the ambit of the regulators. So do with the Singapore. Our friends in Singapore also they also come up some enforcement in relation to this social media, and definitely the country like US and UK have better, all right, enforcement in terms of this issue, right? So we can have two different approach with if we talking the same things at the same time. So whether we want to use a promotional post or educational version, all right, talking about let's start invest for our retirement. So whether we want to use promotional posts like invest now, get the return, highest return today, all right, or we make it more educational, all right, the likes of before investing, can ask ourselves 3 questions like this. Does our emergency savings enough? Do I understand the risk of not having a proper retirement fund, right? Or when we talk about Islamic financial planning or wealth management, instead of buy hibah now before it's too late, because the discount will end tonight. What about we propose with more educational version, something like what happens to your assets without proper estate planning. So is hibah relevant to your estate planning? So this perhaps can be considered by the influencers, all right, but we cannot stop those influencers who are only promoting products in their posting. Yeah. So before I end my session, I would like to come up with this short framework which I call educate. All right. So every social media content must follow this educate framework, which consists of explain, debunk, use stories, checklist, ask, teach, and encourage. Let us start with explanation, right? So start with the simple concept. Simplify the heavy topics that we want to discuss with our audience, right? And correct the myths. For example, Islamic or Sharia financial planning is only for Muslim. Correct it right away. Use some stories, real stories, right? For a better explanation. Provide some checklist. When we talk about cash flow, what would be the checklist for our followers or audience to follow through? Ask the audience, okay? But normally, many contents in social media, they won't allow the audience to ask them because they already pre-recorded, right? So teach them how to do. When we talk about legacy planning, so teach them one by one. So if the steps are quite a lot, so perhaps we can divide our posting into few series. Teach them one by one. Show sincerity, honestly, how to make sure them understand the content of that we want to share with them. And the last one, encourage them. All right, don't push. All right, but encourage. Okay, so when we talk about financial planning, a lot the concept of wealth creation, for example, right? So ask them to review based on our content. All right, if our content suits them, so from their review, start implement. Okay, don't push them without any further consideration whether they can whether they have to consider other matters, or they must follow you, otherwise they won't get all the uh, important details in your content. So from that, I do think that if all influencers or practitioners like some of us here can practice this educate framework in our posting, I do believe that, right? We can have more ethical social media content with regards to wealth management and financial planning. I think my presentation will end here. So I open to any question later on. Thank you so very much. I pass back to the moderator. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Masya Allah. Thank you very much, Dr. Shah, for such an insightful presentation. I'm sure that everyone has taken away valuable lessons on how ethical content can become the foundation of lasting trust. Conversation by Dr. Shah also reminds us that social media is a double-edged sword. While algorithm often amplify sensational financial content that can also mislead the people, especially with young generation like us, maybe, or they can also present in an incredibly opportunity by consistently sharing honest, educational, trustworthy, and financial planners can also fill the gap while with the credible financial literacy and create a meaningful impact for 1,000 people. And we have also bring back home the Educate Frameworks by Dr. Shah. Explain, debunk, use stories, checklist, ask, teach, and the last one is encourage. Thank you, mashallah. Okay, everyone. Before we continue to our next speakers, we would like to take a quick group photo while everyone is still with us. Now, maybe Dr. Shah had another business at 9 p.m. Malaysian time, ya, Doctor? So, may I kindly invite all participants to turn on your camera if you're comfortable doing, and it would like wonderful to capture this special moment with our international community. Okay. While everyone is getting ready, feel free to give us the wave and show your biggest smile. Okay. All right. I can already see more cameras coming on. Masya Allah, Dr. Amy Sola from Sulawesi. And also our brother Cepia Hidayat from Angola. Angola is Africa. Africa or where? Where continent? Okay. Cahya Lutfia, this is my student in Pare. Rukaya, Ghazali. Okay, everyone has already, and just take a good smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next slide. We have the 2 slide. 1, 2, and 3. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Thank you. Masya Allah.
Dr. Shah, perhaps there are some questions for Dr. Shah before she's leaving.
Okay. Yes, everyone who will ask question for Dr. Shah, you can write. Oh, okay, Cahya. Cahya, the floor is yours.
Okay, before that, I want to say thank you for the opportunity. So, good evening, Dr. Shah. I will introduce myself. So, my name is Cahya. I'm from Islamic College of Economy and Business, TBCPII from Indonesia. And I would like to ask a question. So, earlier, you mentioned it that educational content should not force people to buy something and should remain objective. However, many financial influencers earn income through affiliate links of or referral. But therefore, my question is, do you think financial content can still be considered educational if the creator receive a commission from the product they recommend? Why or why not? That's enough, sir.
Okay, good question. Shahya Lutfia. Okay, so I would say that if any content associated with any products or sponsors, it will create conflict of interest, right? Right. So some content may start with general advice, okay, on the why we need to invest, for example, why we need to consider invest via online rather than I go to the individual or licensed, okay, investment advisor, okay. But towards the end, you have some objective, right? So talking about invest online, talking about you have to choose the right platform. So, all right, you understand my content? So, Chaya, now what about you subscribe to my platform? Something like that. All right. So, are we the content really discuss about the concerns of about the industry, about the solutions, or we want to promote our products? So I would say that I do believe that many of us have experience, all right, watching videos, okay, from the influencers, but at the end they provide you link, right? You want to know more, all right? Subscribe to the link, all right? You now you can listen more from me. You can get more information from me. So the hidden agenda, okay, behind the posting will create a lot of conflict, I would say. Okay, so you can see the audience, if the content truly from the licensed financial planner or approved financial advisor, they won't associate with any of the sponsors. All right. We can see some of the content be sponsored by the regulators. That's fine. Right. So, but if sponsored by the banks, definitely the influencers want the I would say that the how we call that, the subscribers, the followers, to also subscribe to any products that sponsor the content. That's my take, Cahaya.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for your answer. It was very clear, was very clear and helpful me. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for Sister Cahya and also the answer from Dr. Shah. Before Dr. Shah left the room, please let us give a token of appreciation. Stay on the screen, Dr. Shah, so I will show you. Okay. We might take a photo shot. One. So I can see my screen. Brother Diva, can you please help me to snapshot?
Okay, wait.
Thank you so very much.
I will take the screenshot first.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Dr. Shah.
Okay.
Thank you, Brother Diva, and also
Yes.
Dr. Shah. May Allah grant you a blessed and barakah. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce our second speaker. Her name is Dr. Luftia Sevriana. Dr. Tia is an academic, researcher, and Islamic financial planning practitioner whose work bridges theory with the real community impact. Her doctoral research introduced innovative participatory Islamic financial planning models that empower communities through financial literacy and inclusion. Today, she will challenge us to rethink a simple but powerful question. Why do people buy credibility before they buy financial advice? Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Luftia Sevriana. Dr. Tia, the floor is yours.
Okay, first, excuse me, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Also, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Maisha, for handling over the mic. First of all, Dr. Shahizan, that was a fantastic presentation. I love how he emphasized ethical content. It actually sets the perfect stage for what I am about to share. Because the big question is, why is ethical content so effective? It's because we are now living in a trust economy. Before we dive deeper, I also want to pay my respects to my teacher, Prof. Murniati Muhlisin. Prof, thank you for your welcoming remarks earlier. It's always an honor to speak under your guidance. So everyone, building on what Dr. Shahizan said about what to pause, I'm going to talk about the why and how people actually decide to buy your credibility before they even look at your financial advice. Let's start with a quick question. Why is it that today, a 22-year-old on TikTok with a ring light and 1 million followers can convince someone to buy a stock faster than a bank manager with 30 years of experience and a corner office? We used to live in an economy of information. If you had the data, you had the power. But today, information is everywhere. We now live in a trust economy. people don't buy your advice first. They buy your credibility first. Today, I want to talk about why that happens, the science behind it, and how some of Indonesia's biggest names are winning these games. Here's the deal. We have a massive information asymmetry gap. There is too much noise and too many fake finfluencers out there. Audiences are scared. They won't just take your advice because you are a professional. You have to build a trust bridge. If they don't cross that bridge, your advice is just more noise to them. They evaluate the messenger before the message. But here is the scary part. Look at this heat map. Real data shows that general trust in our industry is low, hovering around 20 to 27%. Investment advisors, only a 2.53 out of 5. Stockbrokers, even lower. It's a data by Burke and Hung, 2015 publication. We are starting from a place of distrust, and that's the fire we need to put out. Most people in the industry think, oh, people avoid advice because it's too expensive. But check this out. Based on Burke and Hung 2021, only 40% care about the price. The bigger issue, 48% say they simply don't know who to trust. It's not a money problem, it's a trust problem. So, what is credibility exactly? According to recent research from Feld and Markle 2026, it's not just one thing. It's a cocktail of 4 ingredients. First, trustworthiness. This is the big one. It's about honesty and integrity. Without this, nothing else matters. Second, expertise. These are your signals, your degrees, your CFP title, your years at the firm. Third, usefulness. Is your advice actually helpful for my life right now, or are you just talking in circles? And finally, regulatory framing. This is how you pitch the advice. Are you saying, do this to get rich, promotion? Or are you saying, do this to stay safe, prevention? In the IFPA context, we usually lean toward prevention, protecting our wealth and keeping it Sharia compliant. But as we will see, how we balance these 4 determines whether a client hits follow or ignores. If we look closer at the sector's illustration in Burke and Hung 2021, banks are the kings of trust right now, while stockbrokers are struggling. Why? Because the closer you are to selling rather than advising, the harder it is to win trust. Now, a lot of people think trust is just knowing a lot, but this Venn diagram proves that trust is an independent psychological construct. It's separate from financial literacy and risk tolerance. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if they don't trust you, your knowledge stays locked away. Now look at this radar. This is where it gets cool. Credibility is not one size fits all. Different people lean on different pillars. Some rely on their degrees, others on their relatability. As we go through our case studies later, you will see how 3 different Indonesian influencers use these dimensions in totally different ways to win the same market. Now here is where it gets interesting and a bit weird. There is something called the paradox of trust. Recent literature like Square and Son 2025 found that for Gen Z and millennials, authenticity actually absorbs expertise. What does that mean? It means if they find you relatable and sincere, they assume you are an expert. They don't even check the certificate. But for people with low financial literacy, they use a heuristic shortcut. They look at your lifestyle. If you look successful, they trust your advice. This is the dark side of influencers. However, the research also shows a silver lining. When advisors are transparent about their fees, like the flat fee model, trust shoots up. People want to know that you are on their team, not just chasing a commission. Here is a shocking stat. Based on Berg and Hang 2015, only 3% of people know what a fiduciary duty is. 97% of investors are flying blind. They can't tell the difference between a salesperson and a professional advisor. In this void, raw trust is their only compass. And trust pays off. Look at this graph. Trust is not just a soft feeling, it's a volume dial. Higher trust correlates directly with a higher likelihood of owning stock and larger portfolios values. Trust unlocks capital. You might wonder, how did we prove this? We look at a massive experiment from Brook and Hang 2021 with over 2,000 people. They gave some people no advice, some unsolicited advice, and some a choice. Here is the kicker. Giving people advice they didn't ask for is like talking to a brick wall. It bounces right off the trust barrier. Information without trust creates zero change in behavior. However, when you give people the option to opt in, 66% say yes. And the biggest driver for that, not their knowledge, but their baseline trust. Basically, the people who follow advice are the ones who already wanted to trust the system. The advice itself is just the byproduct of them feeling safe enough to engage. Let's look at the architecture of protection. Research from Score and Son 2025 shows that having a clear separation between free education and fee-based consultation actually helps you. When the audience sees you're not just trying to sell them a product in every post, you become their psychological safety net. You are protecting them from the scams. Let's look at how this works in the real world here in Indonesia. I've picked 3 influencers who have mastered the trust economy. First, Greget Kalabuana. Greget is the ethical specialist. He is perfect for our IFPA values. Next, Prita Gozi. She is the money doctor. She gives you the ZEP formula. 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a shortcut. By using her CFP title and motherly branding, she removes the information asymmetry. She feels like a pro but sounds like a mentor. Finally, Ligwina Hananto. She is the authentic storyteller. She is honest, she is funny, and she's not afraid to call out bad habits. She destroyed the distant corporate wall. When people listen to her, they feel like they are part of a community. She's not selling a product, she's selling a better life. If we dig deeper, Greget's secret sauce are UNDP plus Syariah equal to SAFE. He uses formal signals like his work with international institutions to attract high literacy audiences. He doesn't sell, he educates. For a client looking for Sharia ethics, Greget is not just an advisor, he is the gold standard of integrity. Then we have Prita Gozi. Her equation is CFP plus ZEP formula equal to functional results. She focuses on usefulness. She gives you a table, a formula, a clear path. If you want a structured plan, you go to Prita. And a detailed description about Ligwina's equation is humor plus vulnerability equal to sincerity. She broke the distant corporate wall. She tells stories about the sandwich generation and hard truths about debt. Her audience trusts her because she feels real. In her case, her authenticity actually absorbs her expertise. Here's the summary. Greget is about values. Prita is about utility, and Liguina is about connection. All three are winning, but they cross the trust bridge using different paths. But a warning for all of us, retention does not equal loyalty. Based on Berg and Hang 2015, 37% of distrustful clients stay with their advisors for over 10 years, not because they are happy, but because of inertia. They are sitting there skeptical and dissatisfied. These are the clients ripe for disruption by a high trust competitor. Don't let that be your firm. So, what does this mean for us as professional planners at IFPA? First, we need to humanize our brands. We have the expertise, but if we stay behind a wall of jargon, we lose to the TikToker. We need to be more relatable. Second, trust first and then advise second. Don't jump into the numbers until you've built an emotional connection. Third, utilize prevention framing. In Islamic finance, we have a unique trust signal, the Sharia aspect. This is the ultimate psychological safety net. We should lead with the fact that we are protecting the client's future and their values, not just their wallet. Think of this pipe. You can't just pump in information and access. To get action, you need to combine trust plus autonomy. Let your clients choose to listen to you. The industry thinks people avoid advice because it's expensive. The data from Berg and Hang's research says no. They avoid it because they don't trust the source. Fee cutting won't save us. Radical transparency and closing the fiduciary void will. At the end of the day, whether you use specialized knowledge, functional utility, or storytelling, the goal is the same, reputational capital. In this digital economy, trust is not a nice to have. It is the prerequisite for any action your client takes. To wrap things up, people don't follow financial advice because it's right. They follow it because they believe in the person giving it. The trust economy is here to stay. If we combine our deep expertise with the authenticity and relatability of the digital age, we won't just be advisors. It will be the money doctors that this generation is looking for. Now, we've talked about the science of trust and we've seen the case studies, but the next logical question is, once you have their trust, how do you actually turn those followers into clients? How do you nurture that relationship for the long run? To answer that, I am very excited and hand the floor back to Maisha, who will introduce our final speaker, Mbak Alvina Rahmatia. Alvina has some brilliant strategies on building those long-term relationships, and I think her session will be the perfect final piece to our puzzle today. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to our Q&A. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Masya Allah. Thank you, Dr. Tia. Masya Allah, it's truly impressive to see how Dr. Tia has explored this topic throughout the depth of the research behind this presentation. Masya Allah, we can take our eyes saying Masya Allah, Masya Allah. Okay, for us, of course, as Islamic financial planners, credibility is not measured by the number of followers we have, but by the trust we earn. By combining honesty, expertise, beneficial education, and also ethical responsibility, we can use social media to make a meaningful and lasting impact of financial people's life. And inshallah, may this session be beginning of many capable Islamic influencer from IFPA. Of course, equipped with the knowledge, credibility, and also the ethical value we've discussed today, inshallah. Amin ya rabbal alamin. And our final speaker represents a new generation of scholars who successfully combine academic excellence with the meaningful public engagement. Currently pursuing her doctoral studies in Turkey under the prestigious YTB scholarship, Sister Alvina Rahmatia has devoted her research to Islamic economics, sustainable finance, moral economics, and digital assets. Beyond academia, she actively translates complex financial concepts into accessible knowledge through public writing and digital platforms. Today, she will share how meaningful online engagement can evolve into genuine professional relationship through her presentation. From followers to client, building long-term relationship through social media. People don't buy financial planning, they buy trust. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sister Alvin. So, Sister Alvin, stage is yours.
All right, thank you so much. Before it, can you hear my voice clearly?
So clear, inshallah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for the moderator. And also, I would say thank you also so much for Madam Ani from all the speakers today. It's really grateful for me to be here to share all the things about this topic and also to hear the incredible topics from the previous speakers. It's so valuable and insightful. Thank you so much. May Allah bless all of us here. And so today, before I start this presentation, let me introduce myself, everyone. My name is Alvina Rahmatia. You might call me Alvin. Now I am a PhD student in Bursa Uluda University in Turkey. Yes, I am in Bursa, Madam Ani. Alhamdulillah, I am the supervisi of Hoja, Oznur Hoja. Alhamdulillah. And just did my proposal, my dissertation proposal this semester. Alhamdulillah. So today let's discuss about this topic from followers to clients, building long-term relationships through social media. Yeah, because people don't buy financial planning, they buy trust. It's about, because if you want to more deep about financial planning, actually it's not only about how we sell our service, but also how people can trust us. So how people can trust us, this is what we're gonna talk about on this topic. Okay, next part. In social media, when we want to sell something, it's actually not a marketplace because it's social media, not a marketplace. From the title itself, it's different, social media and marketplace. Most people think social media is something or is a place to sell something, because right now there are a lot of affiliate influencers and also a lot of things they want to sell something in the social media, and then until they direct it to the marketplace, Shopee, Tokopedia, and etc. But actually, when people come to social media, they want to learn something, and then is it relate to him or to her, and feel understood about what they're feeling right now, and also find someone that they can trust. Only after all of that, they can buy the service. So it means there are a lot of journeys before they want to buy the service. So now, from the journey, we can see there are two journeys here, and we can see which one better. It's clearly and simply the longest one is the better one, because if you want to show the content, which is the visibility only, and then people and then we directly say in the content like buy my service, or let's plan your finance with me, and etc. So, or we can call it also call to action content in the market strategy. Actually, it's not really good, when we want to convince everyone, especially in financial planning. So the first one, of course, we need the feasibility of the content and then the credibility, as the first speaker and the second speaker said before about credibility and the transparency. Is the influencer itself has a good certified or has a good educational background about financial planning or about Sharia financial planning, if he or her talk about Islamic financial planning, and then trust everyone until everyone can trust the influencers or what we are doing in the social media, and then we have a relationship together between us and also our followers until they become our clients and then advocate them. So of course it's a long journey, but it's longless. Yes, it's longless. For example, because for me, because I already educate myself about how to trust someone in the social media, if I see something in social media like influencer, they are talking about zakat, wakaf, and also about mutual fund, Sharia mutual fund. But I know she is one of the most influencer in Indonesia, but she doesn't have any educational background about Islamic finance or even Islamic economics or Islamic financial planner, none of it. So it means that I know what she said is good, it's true, but based on the credibility, she doesn't have any credibility, doesn't have any transparent or doesn't have any credible background. So can we trust him? Can we trust her? For me, I cannot trust her because there are still a lot of Islamic or Islamic Islamic financial planner influencer in social media, which is better than her, even though her or his followers still not as much as the first one, like I told you before. But it's only because I know that we need that credibility, so I can trust her or him. And I think everyone should do that because we need that. I don't want to talk it more because the first speaker and the second speakers already show us and already told us about it, really insightful. Now about from the followers, followers are not our goal. So some of us think that I want to influence people or I want to educate people about Islamic finance or about financial planning and etc. But my followers is still small, and I think that kind of thinking it's not wrong actually. It's not totally wrong, but it will stuck us, and we won't go anywhere if we think like that, because sometimes for the first time or the next time, the first thing that is more important is not how much our followers, but how much people can trust us, and also how we have a credible and then also credibility about what we are going to educate to the people. So our goal is people who think if I ever need financial planning, I know exactly who I call. So that's one of the power from the relationship, and it works. Everyone, I think like every one of my followers, like it's not big, but everyone when they have a confusion about Islamic finance or about economic vision, they will ask me through a direct message on the Instagram or directly WhatsApp me and say something or asking something. So from that step, I feel so grateful because it means they trust me. And it's also in line with the in the Quran about what we need to do in social media, that social media teach us to measure success with followers. But in Islam reminds us to measure success with taqwa and sincerity. So our influence is not determined by our audience size. It's not determined by how much our followers. It is determined by the value that we bring, which is like, as I said before, about our educational background, our certified, our credibility, and etc. So there are three things every followers want. The first one, they want to feel understood, like no judgment. Instead of saying you should save more money or you should earn more money and etc., say I know it's difficult to save when expenses keep increasing. I know it's difficult to earn more money in this economy in Indonesia and etc. So empathy should become first. I have a real experience about this because one of my clients, in the end of the session, she said to me that she was very grateful to be here, to be there in our conversation, in our consultation, because she said she ever did financial planning before with someone, financial, but that that financial planner said about you need to earn more money so you can make your money healthy, your ratio is healthy, and etc. But with me, he said that she said that it is more meaningful. It's more mindful. It's more. It's like she feel like there is something like can be described or something like maybe people will call it as barokah when she want to plans their money and then do something more calm and mindful in their heart. So it means something like barokah, that something we can say to everyone, but we feel very safe with our money. So that's why we need to understand what our client feel. So it means we need to watch out our word, our sentence when we want to conversate with our clients. Empathy comes first. And then the second, they want clarity. Finance is overwhelming. Everyone knows it. And not everyone comes from the Islamic finance major or economics major. Even though as we are from Islamic economics and finance major, for example, we still overwhelmed with all the terms and all the theories in this major. So it means that everyone who doesn't comes from this major, they feel so overwhelmed and sometimes burn out with all the truths and theory and etc. So it means we need to simplify it, not to complicate it. It means that when they don't understand about, for example, about liquidity, they don't understand what is liquidity ratio. So we need to simplify it. Like for example, I usually will say liquid is like a water. So it means we need to find something. Our money should be like water, not as a stone. For example, as a stone, it's difficult to be eaten or to be drunk. So it means we need to transfer our money into water so we can drink it directly. What are the instruments of the liquidity itself? Nah, then we can explain it. So we need to simplify it. And then the third is they want hope. Don't only show problems, because usually we will say, oh, your money, your financial condition is really sick. There are a lot of problems there. So you need to earn more money. Your zakat is not paid for 5 years, for example, and etc. We said only the problem. So we need to show the possibilities. So because they want to trust us, because they want to buy the confidence of what they have with their money. So it means we need to show the possibilities and the confidence of it. Wait for a moment. My battery is so.
Okay, while we waiting, Sister Alvin to take her
Okay.
battery again. Oh, okay. All
Okay,
right,
it's done.
Sister Alvin.
Thank you. Thank you for waiting. Yes, it's done. Next part, It's about content that builds client. Actually, it's also already told by the previous speakers. So I will recall it again. Contents that gets like most of now that it's about luxury lifestyles, about flexing, trending reels, motivational quotes, complex charts, and etc. They will get more likes. We can see that the most subscribers in Indonesia comes from the content of flexing, like from the artists, from the influencers, that they show what inside their bag, what is their makeup, how about their home, they do a home tour, etc. to show their luxury life, their what they want to do a flexing, something like that, so they can get more likes about it. But if to build trust, so we need to it's not to avoid, but we need to it with more trusting contents like case studies, simple education, stories, FIQ, mistakes to avoid, behind the scenes, presentation, etc. Likes are nice, but trust pays the bills. So it means we need to build or to make content that is not to focus on the likes itself, but focus on the trust. Next one, our profile is already talking until why clients finally reach out us. So before people message us to buy our service, they will check our bio, our highlights, posts, comments, replies, stories, and the consistency. Our bio or our profile, it doesn't mean that we need to be a good designer, like we need to design our content perfectly and then like Adobe Photoshop and etc. No, it's not like that. It's like the consistency of what we are talking about. It can be shown from our bio, our highlights. It's like is we talking about finance or economics consistently, we can put it in our highlight, our posts, our comments, and etc. So every small interaction answer one question from the people. Can I trust these people? Okay, especially for Islamic financial planners, trust is not only a marketing strategy. It is an amanah. Everyone, people don't only entrust us with their money, they entrust us with their dreams, their fears, their families, their futures. So that's why our content should be reflect acidic or honesty, and then amanah or trustworthiness, transparency, and ihsan. So, of course, like I said before, likes is not our focus, followers is not our focus. The focus is ourselves, how we build it, and then we reflect the siddiq, amanah, transparency, and ihsan. And also, of course, the consistency, because I think consistency is one of the hardest things when we want to influence people or to educate people. In conclusion, everyone, people might follow us because of our content. Beautiful content, our insightful content, but they stay because of our character. So we need to enhance our characters, our value, and then they become clients because they trust us. Perhaps one educational post won't go viral and not ever go viral, perhaps. And also perhaps one sincere reply won't bring a client, but one act of goodness is ever lost in the sight of Allah. This is also written in the Quran. As financial planners, our mission is not merely to grow our business, it is to increase financial well-being, one person, one family, and also one sincere interaction at all times. Thank you so much for me. I bring it back to the moderator.
MashaAllah. What a beautiful way to conclude today's session. MashaAllah. Thank you, Dr. To-be, Sister Alvin, for such a grateful presentation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our final takeaway. remind us that our goal is not simply to gain more followers again, but to build trust and meaningful relationship. We want to, people say, like the presentation before, if I ever need financial planning, I know exactly who I'll call. True influence is not measured by the size of our audience, but by the value we provide, the sincerity we show, and the integrity we uphold. Okay, we've covered so many valuable insights today, and I'm sure they have sparked plenty of thought and ideas. Now, let's open the floor for questions from our audience. Okay, let us see in the chat box. Okay, Brother S. Hidayat, is there any use case in bank or other finance product or service? Can you please to open mic to explain this? Brother S. Hidayat. Assalamualaikum. I'm sorry, okay. Yeah.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for opportunity for me to ask a simple question. I need like and then explain about the use case from bank or others finance product about what Miss Alvina talking about when people building trust with us in the social media, they will and try to understand us, feel what they want, and then after that maybe we can share our product or our services. Then maybe we continue to sell something. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's Sister Alvin to answer this.
I'm sorry, is it about the case of the financial product, sir?
Yeah, maybe about an example, maybe simple is okay, but we want to know how is it the implementation in the bank or finance products, the process of the building the trust in social media.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for the question. About the financial product, actually, I ever promote something. It's not from the bank, but it's from the crowdfunding platform. It's about sodakoh. Yes, it's about sodakoh, and I think it's part of the Islamic finance product. How to build the trust? For me, it's not only from the account itself must be credible, but also from the content itself must be strengthened by the knowledgeable or insightful sources. For example, from the reputable articles, it's like scientific journals or scientific articles, or from the credible account, Instagram account or Twitter account, etc. So it will strengthen our opinion or our product. People will not only see the product itself, but also from the background of the product itself. Is it useful? Is it good, or etc. It's like when we want to sell in terms of health, because health is directly will affect to the life and die of someone. It's different with finance. Finance, it's indirect effect, but in health, it's different. So in the hospital or in the health or in the pharmacy content, they usually will show the content or the source, the reputable source in advance before they want to sell their product. So it's important to us to do a research before we want to sell our product. That's my opinion, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Inshallah, thank you for Brother
my
Hidayat
share.
and also Sister Alvin for a great answer. Okay, let us move to the next question. It's for Dr. Tian. From Sister Parisa Amanda. Sister Parisa Amanda is also our BOD member. I have a question. Do people really don't care about certifications and background education as long as the contents are relatable? Oh, it's our our problem today. Okay, who will answer first? Dr. Tia?
Okay, I think I will try to answer the question from our senior, Mrs. Farisa Amanda. Actually, I read your book chapter. You are the author in Islamic Personal Finance with Madam and with Pak Lukian, ya. I have read the chapter and it's incredible how you synergize the topic of consumerism and Islamic financial planning. And then to answer your question, I'd like to quote the research from Score and Son 2025. They mention that only Gen Z and millennials who prefer authenticity and relatability. So they don't even check the certificate if they feel that the influencer is relatable and sincere, because they think it absorbs expertise. The relatability is absorb the expertise. They look for a friend, I think, someone who can deliver the message with the same tone with them, same frequency with them, so they feel comfortable. I think that's all I can respond for the question from Mrs. Farisa Amanda.
Yes, Sister Farisa. Okay, Masya Allah. Thank you. Then we move to another participant, Dr. Rina. Can you please to unmute? Okay.
Okay, thank you, my sister Maisha Bani. I'm so sorry I can't open my camera because in my place the bandwidth is very low for the signal. Okay, the question for Dr. Tia. Thank you for your insightful presentation. My question is, among the four pillars, trustworthiness, expertise, usefulness, and regulatory framing, which one has the strongest influence on audience trust when these factors conflict with one another? For example, if an influencer has high expertise but low perceived integrity, which factor tends to dominate according to the research? That's one. Thank you. Do you get my word?
Yes, I think I get your question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Four pillar, yeah. I think I want to connect it with Sister Alvina Rahmatia. It's about trust first. It's about the first thing that we have to prioritize is amanah. If we talk about Islamic financial product, then the ethical thing that we have to prioritize first is amanah. How we deliver, how we say that we protect their values. We're not just selling the product. I'm also like to highlight Sister Alvina statement that it's not the number of follower that is important. The essential thing is we deliver the value, the same value that inshallah protect our wealth not only in dunia but also in akhirat. I think that's so beautiful. I think that's so reflecting our value. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you, Masya Allah, for the great question and answer from Dr. Rina to Dr. Tia, doctor to doctor, Masya Allah. Okay, let me move to the comment box again from Umar Gaddafi. Can you please talk directly? Or just I read your question? Your question is, how much does it cost to make a share? And was it the benefit about the book or about the about what? Brother Umar, can you please to speak to unmute your Zoom? You still unmute? Okay, maybe for the sister Farisah book, yeah. You might share the info, Sister Farisah. Thank you. Okay, anyone who will deliver the question again? Okay, is it enough? Okay. Thank you for all the participants and such a grateful and valuable discussion tonight. Now, we would like to present our certificate of appreciation to Dr. Tia and Sister Alvin. Okay, Mr. Rina is still raising her hand. Sorry, Dr. Rina. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. We may invite Dr. Tia to open the camera. For the first, Dr. Tia. And I will share your token of appreciation. Sorry, wait. Dr. Tia. Brother Diva, can you please take a snapshot?
Okay. Wait a second, because the
Just
screen.
count.
Okay, wait. 1, 2, 3. Again, once again. Wait. 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tia.
You, Sister
Then,
Maisha and Rafif.
Yes.
yeah, we move to the last speakers. Our grateful Dr. Candidate, Sister Alvin.
Okay.
Okay, Sister Alvin, sorry. One more. Okay.
8, 1, 2, and 3. And wait, once again. 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
Masya Allah. Thank you, Sister Alvin and Dr. Tia and also Dr. Shah. Alhamdulillah, everyone. As we come to the end of today's webinar, I'd like to share a few key takeaways. First, social media is a powerful tool. While it can amplify misleading financial content, it also gives us an incredible opportunity to educate and create positive change. Second, credibility is the foundation of the influence. It is built through honesty and integrity, practice value, and a strong commitment to ethical responsibility. And third, people don't come up to us looking for the perfection. They're looking for someone who understands them, simplifies complex financial concepts, and give them hope for a better financial future. And finally, perhaps the most heartwarming message from today's session is followers are not our ultimate goal. Our goal is to build trust so that one day, when someone needs financial guidance, they immediately know who they can rely on. As Muslims, our success is not measured by the number of followers we have, but by our sincerity, taqwa, and the positive impact we leave in the lives of others. Inshallah, may today's session inspire a new generation of Islamic influencer within IFPA. Amin. Professional who educate within knowledge, serve with sincerity, uphold the ethic of Islamic financial planning, and also use social media as a platform for da'wah. And thank you once again, Madam Ani, Dr. Shah, Dr. Tia, and Dr. To be Sister Alvin for such an insightful, inspiring, and truly heartwarming session. We hope today's conversation doesn't end with this webinar close, but continues through our work, our contents, our positive impact, our that we can create within our communities outside. Thank you once again, and I'll now hand the session back to Master of Ceremony, Brother Diva.
Okay, thank you, Miss Maisha Bani, uh, for lead the discussion. And before we close our webinar, allow me to share one important invitation. If you feel today's discussion resonates you, and if you believe Islamic financial planning is not just a profession, but a responsibility, then this is your moment. The Islamic Financial Planners Association, or IFPA, is currently opening its membership registration. IFPA is more than an association. It is a professional home for individuals who are committed to advancing Sharia compliant financial planning with integrity, competence, and impact. As an IFPA member, you will gain access to first professional development programs and certification pathways, and then exclusive discussion and knowledge sharing forum, and then national and international collaboration opportunities, and also a network of practitioners, academic and financial activists, and the last, a platform to strengthen your credibility in Islamic financial planning industry. Whether you are a financial planner or an academic or a researcher or a student of Islamic economics or a practitioner passionate about ethical finance, we warmly invite you to grow with us and let this be part of our long-term investment, not only for career growth, but for contribution to the Ummah's financial resilience. Registration detail will be shared through our official IFPA channels. We look forward to welcoming you as part of IFPA professional family. Distinguished speakers, moderator, honorable guests, and dear participant, on behalf of the IFPA Islamic Finance Planner Association, we extend our deepest appreciation for your presence and active participation. May today's discussions inspire practical action in our families, our institution, and our communities. I am Muhammad Rafif Diva. As Master of Ceremony, sincerely apologize for any shortcomings throughout this session. And let's close with Hamdalah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin and kafaratul majlis. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Diva.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.